Jim, did the board get dropout data? Do you want Jen to explain anything?
Let the record show that our public meeting of April 10, 2013 has reconvened at, looks like 7:01. Tonight we have Ethan Silva from J. Middle, 6th grader. He's going to honor us by leading us into the flag salute.
Please stand. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated.
Thank you, Ethan. Good job. On another note, Saturday, Jehu took first place in the Knowledge Bowl held at Frisbee. Is that correct? Were you part of that too? Oh, terrific, terrific. Dr. Seaman, report out of closed session.
The Board of Education denied the request of an extension of a leave of absence for classified employee number 1595923, Nutrition Services Worker 1. And the vote was unanimous.
Is that all, Dr. Seaman? Was that it?
That's all.
Okay. Next, we have the adoption of the agenda. Do we have a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next, we have presentations. Deborah, you want to lead us with the DSAC student presentations?
Yes. First up, we have Yuki from Eisenhower High School.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Dr. Sebron, cabinet members, and the viewing audience. My name is Yuki Bojorquez, and I am representing Eisenhower High School. We are very proud to share some exciting news coming from our Fine Arts Department. Congratulations to the Eisenhower High School Choir, Ike Singers, and Ikettes, and Choir Director Stephanie Chamberlain for their outstanding performances at several choir competitions over the spring break vacation. At the Star Reflection Show choir competition, the Ike Singers placed first overall and won the Outstanding Musicianship and the Outstanding Showmanship Award. Lindsay Ferris and Aaron Madison both an award for outstanding vocal solos. The Ikettes came in second place at the San Pasqual competition. Eisenhower also performed well at the Alamitos Extravaganza competition, held on March 21st, 2013. The Ike Singers came in first place, receiving an Outstanding Musicianship and Outstanding Showmanship awards. Lindsay Ferris and Aaron Madison again won for Outstanding Vocal Performance in their respective divisions. Prom 2013 voting will take place in fourth period classrooms this Friday, April 12th. We have 10 Queens candidates and 6 King candidates. This year's prom title, Black Tie Affair, will be held on April 27th at the Great Park in Irvine, which was once El Toro Marine Base. Over the next 2 weeks, our 9th, 10th, and 11th grade students will be taking the CSC test, while the seniors will be attending some fun senior activities like bowling, skating, and the movies. I want to end by sharing how our amazing principal has made such an amazing impact at our school. He's an amazing man. I want to thank the board for giving us an amazing principal. I feel like all the students see him not just like a principal, but more like a friend, because he made it really clear when he came to Eisenhower. You will come into my office. I'm not just your principal, but I also want you to see me as your friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Ana Rosa from Carter High School.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Seabram, cabinet members, and viewing audience. My name is Ana Razzo, and I'm the student board representative for Carter High School. I'm here to share with you a brief summary of the exciting events we have going on at Carter. I would like to start this evening with an honorable mention to our very own Sekuna Yaboa, along with Cheyenne Benjamin. They have made it to the big dance and speech and debate and will be competing in nationals in Birmingham, Alabama. So we want to wish you the best of luck, Sekuna. Theater. Our CHS Theater Department and Thespians are proud to present Winnie the Pooh, dramatized by Kristen Sergel, adapted from the stories of A.A. Milne. The Thespians have the spring play opening tonight at 7, but don't worry, there will be showings Thursday, Friday, and Saturday as well. Again, curtain time is at 7 p.m., and we would love to see you all there. Blood Drive. We will be holding our spring blood drive in our gym on April 19th, 2013, and I'd like to encourage all staff and students to contribute and help save a life by donating blood. CSTs. We are now gearing up for our motivational assemblies for those taking the CSTs this year. They will certainly push our Lions to strive for 755. We are proud of last year's Lions for scoring high on their CSTs, and as a reward, there will be a special luncheon for those students, and what better way to be rewarded than with food? Senior Week. Although for the underclassmen it's a rigorous week of testing, us seniors are getting ready to enjoy the annual senior events. This year, our activities include a trip to Magic Mountain on April 23rd, a trip to Fiesta Village on April 24th, a visit from Disney to present info on grad night, and a senior barbecue on April 25th. We will also be having our school-wide barbecue on Friday, April 26th, and we would like to make a special thank you to Dr. Seabram for helping us get our groove on. Prom. Prom season is definitely in full swing at Carter. From fashion shows to prom proposals, excitement is definitely in the air. The junior-senior prom will be held on April 27, 2013 at Seacliff Country Club from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. This year's theme is Midnight Masquerade, and it is sure to be an unforgettable night. So thank you so much for all your time and attentiveness. I hope you all have a great night.
Thank you.
And lastly, we have Mark from Rialto High School.
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Seabran, and members of the cabinet. My name is Mark Bibian, and I'm the ASB ambassador of Rialto High School. With CSTs right around the corner, RHS is working hard to get our school to get around 750 of the maximum score we've ever gotten. To motivate the students, we had them dedicate their scores to someone who inspired them to be the best that they can be. In addition, we also will be throwing a quad rally this Friday to add a little inspiration and show them that CSTs can be fun. The CSTs will be held next week from April 16th through the 18th, so go Knights. Prom is almost here as well. In just 2 weeks, we will be attending the amazing Meeting Building in Redlands to have the night of our lives at the 2013 prom entitled An Enchanted Night. Here, we will be crowning this year's prom king and queen. As the school year comes to an end, it's the first of the senior activities that will be held next week. On Tuesday, the seniors will have a chance to attend Fiesta Village. On Wednesday, we will be taking our panoramic picture and receiving our caps and gowns for graduation. And on Thursday, we will be attending the Regal Cinema Theaters. Graduation is right around the corner, and we are so ready. Thank you for your time. Have an amazing evening.
Thank you, Mark. Next, we are going to honor Rialto Unified School District Classified Employees of the Year, and to help us out, Mrs. Nancy O'Kelly.
Okay. Good evening, and I'm delighted to have this honor tonight to honor these very deserving people. Rialto Unified School District announced its District Classified Employees of the Year. Each of these 5 recipients has displayed the highest level of leadership, commitment, and dedication to students and the education community of Rialto. Tonight, we honor each RUSD Classified Employee of the Year. First on the list is Rocio Trevino, Clerk Typist 2 at Dallahan Elementary School. Yes, you have to come up. She has 8 years of service. Mr. Daniel Husbands, principal at Dallahan Elementary School, stated, Rocio Trevino is a tremendous asset and a pleasure to work with. In the eyes of all that work with her, she is the mainstay and driving force of Dallahan. I guess we all know the secretaries are the ones who really run the schools. So she has a very strong work ethic, and although her responsibilities are far and wide, she completes every task with a smile. She is admired and loved for her wonderful character, which is demonstrated in her every action. She has a wonderful sense of humor, and all can attest to that in her deep desire for chocolate. Dallahan is honored to have Rocio as part of the family, and we would all agree that Dallahan would not be the same without her. Let's give a big round of applause for Rocio Trevino. And we have a certificate of recognition that says Rialto Unified School District Board of Education to Rocio Trevino, Dallahan Elementary School, Classified Employee of the Year Award. By the way, whoever typed these, thank you so much. I actually don't need my glasses with this size 25 font. The second employee is Marcela Silva, Instructional Assistant 2, bilingual at Simpson Elementary School. Marcela? Maricela has devoted 14 years of service to the Rialto District. Mrs. Connie Richardson, principal of Simpson Elementary School, said Maricela is a very organized, efficient, and competent bilingual instructional assistant, as well as a highly regarded and well-respected staff member who has worked at Simpson Elementary School for more than 10 years. She has a depth of knowledge and experience in effective instructional strategies and techniques to help second language learners. Maricela demonstrates a strong commitment to the staff, students, and families of our school and district. She often stays past her assigned workday in order to encourage and support students or to provide information and assistance to our Spanish-speaking parents. Mrs. Silva remains positive and demonstrates professionalism at all times and in all situations. Let's give a big round of applause for Marcela. And this next lady I have known for a very long time. Our sons grew up together. Kathleen Kelly Valencia, come on up. Kelly is the locker room attendant at Cusera Middle School, and she has 17 years of service to the district. Mrs. Monique Conway, principal at Cusera Middle School, said, on behalf of all the students, parents, and staff at Cusera Middle School, congratulations on being our Classified Employee of the Year. To carry out one's assigned duties may be noble, but to always go above and beyond the expectations of your assignment is more than altruistic. Your commitment, support, and willingness to go the extra mile for Coursera's learning community and RUSD are a source of pride and inspiration to all of us, and we are deeply appreciative. We are fortunate to benefit from your contributions on a daily basis. We are all delighted to know that so many people that represent our district appreciate your outstanding work as much as we do, and clearly the word has spread. Congratulations to Kelly Valencia. I also have the pleasure of knowing this gentleman for several years, Franklin Fox III. Come on up. Franklin is the custodian 2 at Rialto Middle School with 6 years of service. Franklin was also honored by the San Bernardino County Schools as its classified employee of the year. His feature story, and I think I already saw it, will be published in the local newspapers, and he has been recognized in the District Bridge newsletter. Mr. Arnie Ayala, principal at Rialto Middle School, replied, "Mr. Fox is an exemplary employee. He has a positive attitude and takes great pride in his work. He goes above and beyond in every task and puts forth the time it takes to get the job done. He works past his required time and comes in on weekends to ensure that the facilities are presentable and all facility requests are completed accurately and in a timely manner. Mr. Fox needs little to no direction when it comes to his responsibilities. He has established a positive rapport with our staff and students. Mr. Fox is a valued employee and definitely has earned the Classified Employee of the Year honor." Let's give Franklin a big I hope she isn't saying break out the wide angle lens. Oh, yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you for the service.
You too, Frank.
Good to see you again.
And last, but definitely not least, although she is very short, and I can say that because she's actually shorter than me, Mrs. Pilar Ayala, come on up here, please. Pilar is the attendance accounting technician in fiscal services and has been in the district for 10 years. Mrs. Sharon Flores, Senior Director of Fiscal Services Department, said, "Pilar is an excellent employee who always gives 150%. Pilar utilizes her attendance accounting expertise to maximize ADA funding for the district and has played a major role in the successful implementation of the Step Up program. Pilar eagerly takes on any project without hesitation. Pilar has a great attitude and is an asset to the district and fiscal services team." Let's give a big round of applause to Pilar Ayala.
In front of the podium, probably.
Thank you all, and I am so proud of these and so many employees in the district, but it's always the biggest honor to honor outstanding employees. Thank you.
Next, we have the Vice President of the Board, Edgar Montes. He will be honoring Jeanette Harper.
Thank you, Board President, Mr. Ayala. And if I could please call Mrs. Jan Harper to the podium. Tonight, we would like to congratulate Janet Harper, Senior Director QEIA and GATE, for earning the California Association for the Gifted, CAG Award. CAG began a new tradition in 2003 by honoring one member of the GATE community in each region for outstanding contributions to the interests of gifted and talented children. These honorees are recognized and celebrated within their region. Each year, selections are based upon the following criteria. 1, to demonstrate excellence that benefits gifted and talented students. 2, proven commitment to gifted children. 3, advocacy for the gifted and talented. And 4, service to CAG and other organizations for gifted learners. Jen has been an employee of the district since 1989 when she was hired as a math teacher for Rialto Middle School. She became an inaugural ASB director of JHU, the inaugural ASB director of JHU Middle School in 1989, and also was promoted to assistant principal. In 2003, Harper came to Dr. John Casalunas Education Center as a testing coordinator. And in 2005, she was promoted to a director for GATE testing and assessment, and in 2009 she became QEIA GATE and College Program Senior Director.
And it grows and grows.
Each year she just gets more and more responsibilities. I don't know how you do it without having your own department. Jen graduated from Mark Capel High School. She attended Cal State, LA, earning her bachelor's degree in American Studies and a minor's in mathematics. She also earned her master's degree in education from Cal State LA. Jen is married, and both her children, Michael Jr. and Laura, are products of the RUSD. She also has a granddaughter, Roxy. On behalf of the Board of Education, we congratulate you, Jen, for your honor in being an education advocate for GATE programs and working with our students for the betterment of their lives. And I just want to say one more thing. I knew I made the right choice when we awarded you the key to the district last year, and this is proof of that. Thank you for all that you do, Jen. Thank you.
We have 2 representatives with us from the California Association of the Gifted.
And I left that note over there. I apologize. Could you please?
Good evening, everyone. I'm so pleased that we're to honor Jeanette for all her hard work and dedication to our children. And I am the parent representative for the Joshua Tree region here with the California Association for the Gifted, and I want to present.
I'm Krista Landgraf, and I'm the educator representative for Joshua Tree region this year. This is a position that Jeanette held 2 years ago for Joshua Tree as well. We were here to honor her. She's been honored by the association in February in Anaheim, where we had a special presentation and there was a big plaque made up. But just to let you know that she has done above and beyond, not only for your school district, but for the Joshua Tree region, which includes all of San Bernardino, all of Riverside, and all of Indio counties. And she's been a contributing factor for gifted education for a number of years, and we very much appreciate her and all she does.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone.
Did you get one picture of all
I did. I got them all. But I can do it again.
Oh, that's
And thank you for your recognition as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up on the agenda, from Davis Demographics, District-Wide Student Projections Report.
Good evening, everyone. I want an award. Where's my award? Good evening, board, superintendent, staff, community members. My name is Christy Jacobs, and I am from Davis Demographics and Planning. Can we lower the lights a little, please, so we can see a little better? Thank you. Is that? There you go. So there we go. Can everybody see better? So, my name's Christy Jacobs. I'm from a company called Davis Demographics and Planning. We're in Riverside. The district contracted with us to look at projections, so enrollment projections by residents. So this, I'm just going to go over a quick synopsis of what we came up with. Basically, just a real quick, I know we only have a couple minutes here, so I'll try to go fast. Basically, what we did is we updated the map database. We have a GIS map database, so we can see where each student lives within the district and the district boundary, things like that. We created what's called a mobility study from historical data. So we looked to see the patterns of students where they lived the last few years. We looked at residential development to see if there's any residential development to be expected over the next few years. We did find a few, so it is improving a little in that arena. And then once we did that, we developed a 7-year resident enrollment projection and using study areas, planning areas. So we basically, it was a building block study area, and we came up with a, from study area up into a district summary, and we also did one for each attendance area, and that is in your report as well. This is a real quick map of your district boundary. As you can see, the Lytle Creek area is actually a big portion of the district, and I think a lot of people aren't aware that that is part of the district. So it's actually 33 square miles part of the district. So that is a big portion of the district, and of course, you know, you've got your more populated part down at the bottom. But this kind of gives you a overview in a nutshell of what GIS says and what the data that we use to come up with our study. For the projections, real quick, we just did a kind of a cohort here where we graduated the 12th grade up, moved up the other grades, or graduated 12th grade out, I should say. Moved the other grades up, so first became second, second became third. We looked at incoming TK, transitional kindergarten, and kindergarten from past birth data. We added any enrollment by new construction, and then we modified that enrollment with our mobility factor. These are some of our factors. That we've got our birth data. This is on pages 6 to 8 in your report. So if you want to look in your report. The birth data is put together by zip code. That's how it's provided to us by the state. So that's kind of how we have to go with that. So we put together the birth data and to see basically if birth rates are increasing or decreasing within the district. You'll see some of the numbers in yellow. I see some of these numbers in yellow here. You'll see it's not that great. Birth rates aren't actually increasing. They're actually sort of on the decline right now. That is pretty much the situation for Southern California right now. There aren't too many areas where it is growing, so that's pretty typical. Unfortunately, that means smaller kindergarten classes. So, down at the bottom, we have the mobility factors, and these factors basically are looking at your in and out migration patterns. So on a whole, are you losing students or are you gaining students? So that's what these factors are trying to assess here. So you'll see we have some that are in red and some that are in blue. The red ones indicate there's a little bit of loss. The blue ones indicate there's some decline and you were able to maintain your kids or actually grow a little. This is, real quick, this is a map of the residential development that is active and some possible scenarios for projects that are on the horizon, including we've got Rosina Ranch, which they just pulled some permits right now for Rosina Ranch, so that's on the horizon, and that is included in the projection scenario, so we did include that one. And then we have the Sierra Crest project, which is over here more on the west side of the district, and that was included as well. So those two projects were part of the scenario, or part of the projection scenario, so they were taken into consideration into the numbers. So we also have a couple of the airport area. We've got the Renaissance Airport area that is currently inactive. I'm sure everyone knows the situation with that one. So that, of course, we'll have to keep an eye on. And then we've got the rest of Lido Creek Ranch and then Colton Superblock down. Those are inactive at the moment, but things are starting to look up again. So maybe we will start seeing some activity there over the next few years. We'll have to keep an eye on that. So we don't want to. Hopefully, we'll be able to continue doing this type of study. So you can keep an eye on this because that could change at any moment. So things are starting to improve. This is basically an overview of the district-wide projections that we provided. You'll see on the chart that it's unfortunately declining. Down here at the bottom, you'll see we've got some totals down at the bottom. You'll see here where it kind of gives you an overall view of what's happening here, and it's unfortunately going to be a couple of years of some loss, but the loss is going to drop off a little more towards the end of the projection period. Some of that has to do with residential projection or residential development, and some of that has to do with just things improving. Yeah. This is a third-party demographic report. This came from a company called ESRI. It's not something that DDP came up with ourselves, but basically what this chart is showing, or what we want to show here, is that the population in the area is aging. Not so much. Our school-age population is a smaller percentage of the total population than our older population. So that seems to be contributing to the declining enrollment as well. Also, private schools. So we have a few private schools in the Rialto area, and as you can see from the numbers down here at the bottom, their enrollment is increasing. So not a whole lot, but it is those students would otherwise be going to your schools. So that is something that you might to take into consideration when looking at the numbers, and then we might want to keep an eye on this as well. And in summary, just real quick, I'm almost done. You can continue to see a decline overall. This is not a different situation to many districts in the area, in LA County and in Riverside County. It's very similar. And the decline is due to decrease in births, and of course, and then of course the smaller classes come in and graduate up. So that's, it just like a domino effect. Again, you've got your private schools that are pulling from your enrollment a little. Residential development is not as much of an impact as it was a few years ago, but it's starting to become again. So that was a little bit, and once that picks up again, that will help offset some of that loss. Again, general aging of the population is affecting enrollment, and unfortunately, your loss of enrollment could be as much as 2,376 transitional kindergarten through 12th graders by year 2019. Again, this is just a snapshot in time right now, so the situation could change. If development starts coming around again and things like that, we could reassess and it might improve a little. So we have to remember that. So, and that's pretty much it. Any questions or? I just explained it so well, there's no questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Please feel free to call me if you need. You can get my information from staff if you need to call me.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Next, we have the superintendent's report. Dr. Seaman?
Before making comments on some issues that we had on the table before, I'd like to give you some information regarding the district's dropout rate and graduation rate. In 2010, Carter had a dropout rate of 17.4%. In 2012, it has been reduced to 8.1%. Eisenhower in 2010 was 22.3%. Eisenhower 2012 is 8.2%.
Wow.
Rialto High School in 2010 was 16.1%. In 2012, they're at 9.2%. The district dropout rate in 2010 was 19.4%. In 2012 is 11.6%, which today is higher than the county and the state. The county rate is 13.3%, and the state rate is 13.2%, and Rialto is 11.6%. And I want to thank Jen Harper for compiling all the numbers for us. The graduation rate for Carter, 2009-10, 78.8%. 2011-12, 87.4%. Eisenhower High School, 2009-10, 68.2%. 2011-12, 85.9%. Rialto High School, 2009-10, 77.6%. 2011-12, 88%. The district average for 2009-10 was 67.3%. 2011-12, 78.5%. So I want to thank all of our parents, all of our school workers, and everybody involved for the increase. We're not perfect, but we are moving forward. I want to talk a little bit about, hope I don't offend anybody about talking about some things tonight. When we first started in this district in 2009, this district was sitting on a 37 million plus reserve. If any of you have worked in any school districts around the state, anytime you have 30 million plus in reserve, your employees are going to ask for a raise. And they should. And when I came here, they were asking for a raise. The board that we had granted a 2% raise to all district employees in 2009. Because of that raise that was giving the ongoing costs, a lot of the money in the reserve was reduced to where we have the projected reserve of over $8 million, and that's required by state that we have. It's a 3%, Muhammad, of our budget.
That's correct.
3%. Now, we would like to have a lot of reserve, but I want to say this, and I say it really happily, that when I came here, the concentration of this district was to make sure that people were employed and that they were paid. And that still is the concentration of this board. They wanted that. Now, you want to talk about deficit spending? We could have eliminated deficit spending tonight in one move. All we'd have to do was get rid of more than half the people that work here. We would only employ those based on the number of students that we have. If you do that, you're going to be pure. But we haven't done that, and most districts haven't done it. And if you want to get an idea what deficit spending is, the United States of America, our government is in deficit spending. They've been in deficit spending for years. This district has been in deficit spending for at least 20 years. Most districts are. I talked to a board member today. They had a $20-some million reserve. Now they're down to 3. The cost, this is a bad time to put people on the streets, unemployment, because of the way the economy is. When we first came, if President Obama had not given those monies to school districts around this state, many districts would have gone under. And some people did not accept it, not for the fact that they didn't need it, they just didn't want to accept it from Obama. And they did not accept that money. But now they wish they had. That money helped us to survive. And I will say this to the people that are here, Cheryl and Lisa, we're going to do our best to minimize any effects after this May revision comes out. We did some things to protect the district, and it doesn't always work. Our health and welfare benefits have increased tremendously over the last 6 years, and so have our costs that we've had. You borrow money to pay our district obligations. If we issued you your checks on a deferred basis, you may have to borrow money. If you were supposed to get your check on the 1st of this month, but yet you got it on the first 2 months from now, that's what we've been doing. Our state has deferred all of our apportionments. And a lot of the money that we are borrowing is not just for state apportionments. Federal government has delayed their money to us. Local government, the local tax revenue that we receive has been delayed. So all of these delays have to do with the situation that we're in. How do you get a positive certification? This is how you get a positive certification. You have to prove to the county that you'll be able to support yourself for 3 years. You're going to do it by doing 2 things. You're going to have either a lot of money or you're going to have a lot of layoffs. So each year we've had deficit spending, but the reason we've been able to come back the next year because we did get money at the end of the year that pushed us into the next year. So that's the state of our economy. If any of you don't know it, you may need to move to another country because it's right here in America. We're living from year to year. And by the way, a lot of the things that are proposed, the money that we were supposed to get from the federal government, we have a lot of monies here in our district that a lot of employees are paid by federal monies. Because of the war in Washington with the Democrats and Republicans, they chose not to solve that problem. Well, we understand that because of a lot of people that have written, and you have to understand something. I don't like politics that go on in Washington, but we all are affected by it. When those things were done, a lot of people felt only the poor people would be affected. But when they didn't act, they realized that it was just not the poor people that were affected. It was a lot of others. So now Congress is considering giving back federal monies to school districts where we can survive. We had a situation where we were talking about contracts, and Muhammad, Dr. Wallace, and I, as soon as the NSBA conference is over, we're planning to meet with Mr. Montez. We're going to sit down and go through all the contracts we've had, how they affect us. And I will say this, when Muhammad came to the district, he and I went through several. At one time, the Xerox contract, we had 4 separate contracts with Xerox. When he came in, he was able to get it to 1. If we had tried to get out of the contract, it would cost us $1.6 million. So he chose to renegotiate. I think it's 2014 that we'll finally be done with them and can go out to bid for others. We've had numerous situations where, let me give you some information about the bank. We had Bank of America for many, many years. And then we start getting, sometimes when you deal with one company for a long time, they get complacent. And they start treating you like crap. Well, they did. They were giving us poor service, so we switched to Citizens Bank. And they promised us a lot of things, but they started charging high fees to the high schools for ASB monies. So we chose, as the ASB directors and principals started to tell us we can't pay these fees, we chose to go with a local bank, Inland Community Bank. And the only difference, they just changed their name to American West Bank. But they're the ones that we're dealing with now locally, and they don't charge us any fees, with the exception if we do something where we don't have sufficient funds. But they have been very good to us in the last few months that we've been dealing with them. The PMI company that we had, and they're not the only company that is contracting with districts to do everything. They sell the bonds, they oversee and everything. And there's a lawmaker that wants to look into that because he thinks it's unfair the way they get there. And if he rules differently, we'll have to do different. But we were not the only district that was involved with companies like that. With this particular company, there are at least 10 other districts that were involved. So we weren't alone. But we did examine the contract, especially when Muhammad came, and we found out that some of the things that they were planning to do, we could do ourselves. So the contract was canceled November 12th, 2012. The consultants that we had contracting for the middle school, their company may not have been advertised on the internet, but they do have a W-9 on file that includes their employee identification number. And most of the cost for the sports programs that we've had are for officiating. And we did something different this year than we've done in the past. The young men and women who are getting paid for officiating are graduates of our high schools. So we're recycling the money among our own young people, and they did a good job this past year. The statement that was made about the district will be insolvent if 2014, 15, in that particular year, if budget reductions are not in place. That's a true statement. But we will have budget reductions. And it's not to say that we will not have more money to deal with to offset that. I was speaking with a board member today, and I want to share this with all of you. At some point in time, as we lose students, we're going to have to lose some people. We've lost over 4,000 students, probably closer to 5,000 in the last 6 years. When you lose that number of students, the students represent money. That's where the money comes from. It doesn't come from any ideas that we have in our heads or any imaginations or dreams that we may have. It comes from students who attend school. When those students are not here, you lose money. When you lose money, you're going to have to start losing employees. So as we address the issue, you're not going to stop deficit spending today. But at some point in time down the road, you're going to have to look at taking some strong measures to reduce the number of employees we have to the extent that you won't have deficit spending. There are a number of issues that Mr. Montez and I had agreed that we would talk about. We're going to talk about contracts with ECS and other consultants, and also about reducing the cost of some of the things that we're doing now. I want to say this in all honesty. For those of you who've been employees of this district, with your patience, we thank you for your cooperation, because in the last 4 years have been the most turbulent times that we've ever had financially in the state of California public schools. But we've managed to get through it, and we're going to get through this. But we're going to get through it because our success will depend on how well we work together. If we're pointing fingers and trying to figure out who's to blame, because you look at it, you walk into a situation, when these board members took the seat, they took the seat to deal with the district as it is. When Mr. Ayala and the other board came in years ago, there were things that previous boards voted on that maybe they wouldn't vote on. But they can't go back and correct what those boards did. What they have to do is take a start to make sure they're doing the right thing. Otherwise, we'll play the blame game until death. There's always someone to blame. I'm going to suggest, and I hope we continue to do this, we've initiated steps already to have dialogue. I'm going to meet with one of our other board members to start having some dialogue. And in a conversation we had today, I found out that we agree on more things than we disagree. We really do. But that comes from talking. If you don't talk, we won't know that. We don't want to see this district insolvent, and it will not be insolvent. We're going to have to make some sacrifices, but we're going to have to be honest and go nose to nose and face to face and tell the truth. But the last thing we want to do, and by the way, those people that came in and did the report about making sure we're 85% instead of being 92%, they don't live here. They don't have to face you. They can come in, make a report, get paid, and leave. But I'm going to tell you, there are districts that they have not spoken to that will never listen to them. Our goal, the goal for this board and this administration, is to address the needs of this community. Not Beverly Hills or not Orange County, but where we are. And the more people that are on the street, the worse the economy becomes. We all have to remember that. And that has been the purpose of this board since I've been here, to do our best to save the jobs of people. And if that's wrong, somebody will have to forgive me. I do want to say this, that in looking at our principals, all of our principals, including those high school principals, have been trained on analyzing data, looking at the information that will give them an idea of what's going to happen when those kids take the test. It's like having a game plan. They all study and prepare. They just didn't deliver. And there are penalties for not delivering in our business, and we're going to be seeing some of those as we deal with reorganizing schools for next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Seabram, for a well-thought-of report. I'm sure our community appreciates the wisdom that you shared with us tonight. Next, we have public hearing, comments from the floor. At this time, any person wishing to speak to any item not on the agenda will be granted 3 minutes to make a presentation. Dr. Wallace, do we have anybody?
Yes, we do. First one would be Mr. Raul Wilson.
Buenas noches al público en general. Good evening to board members and the community. You're going to be receiving a copy of a complaint later on today. I'm not going to talk about the complaint. I'm just going to say that bullying is against the law. Whether it be against other adults or against students, it is still against the law. It is also part of the penal code where we talk about mental abuse. Now my question is, the last time I was here, we had a lot of kids here lined up from one of your high schools defending the teacher. You know, surprisingly enough, there was a black kid that got beat up. I didn't see a black parent here or a student here defending this special need kid. Nobody. And that angers me. And the people that tape recorded the thing for the other teacher is, what you do with that teacher? Transfer to another school? So you take the problem from one school, take it to the other school. You know, we don't need that. There's been a lot of violence in this district by staff, and you know it, and you don't investigate. So hopefully this complaint doesn't fall on deaf ears, because this is a very serious matter when you have a staff member losing respect for a parent. You don't lose respect for parents. You have to respect them. And I don't appreciate it here, Mr. Ayala. They're banging on that thing where they give you a toy because they give you a mallet there to hit the thing with. The last time I was here, I said they should do the residents of Rialto a favor and resign. You and Mr. Martinez and you, Mr. Seaborn, and take Mr. Wallace with you. That's what I told you the last time. I also asked, when is this district going to start presenting that we have elections by district, not at large? Now you know that you're going to get sued and you're going to have to pay lawyers' fees for that. You already know that ahead of time. And this applies to the city of Rialto and the city of Ana. The same kind of things are going to happen. We've already done some of the cities in Riverside, and we're doing some more. So like I said, hopefully this complaint does not fall on deaf ears. Thank you.
Sarah Garcia.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Seabram, and cabinet, and the Rialto community. I don't come alone today. I have a friend. Anyway, I want to introduce you to Assembly Member Brown's other field rep for the city of Rialto. His name is Josue Castillo, and I'm going to give him the floor.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Josue. I'm a field representative for Assembly Member Cheryl Brown, and I actually wanted to speak a little bit about a bill that she's putting out right now for student athletes. I'm gonna just do a quick summary about it. AB 475 will require all public universities and colleges in California that offer full athletic scholarships and have media and licensing revenues in excess of $20 million a year to guarantee a scholarship for 5 years that fully covers the cost, attendance, and gives all student athletes, regardless of sport, an additional 3,600 student athlete participation stipend. This stipend will be paid from the university's media rights and licensing revenues. So pretty much this bill will give money in the student athletes' pockets. They're already sacrificing their body, and it would just make their most of them are living on borderline poverty. So this bill will help out many student athletes when they go to a 4-year university. And you got all the information. I mean, you can see the status where it's at right now. And if there's any more information you like, I included my card in that packet. And feel free to shoot me an email. All right, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Tara Rosamond.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Seaburn, Superintendent. My name is Tara Roseman. I am here as a sole parent of my 2 children of the Rialto School District. One of them just graduated out of Eisenhower High School in 2012 and at Fresno State University. My reason for standing here before you all, parents and board members, is to honor a very, very, very good man that we all know. And sometimes we forget to say all the good because we have so much bad to say, when some people are not even in the position to know of all the things and all the burdens and everything that these individuals as board members and the superintendent and so forth have to deal with. So they forget to honor the good things because they're so busy looking at the negative things. And in this day and time, we need to start looking at more of the positive instead of all of the negative, in which I've not seen any. And I've been here in this district, and my son has been a student in this district for about 8 years now. Yeah, ever since he went here in the 2nd grade, and then we returned in the 7th. And he continued all 4 years at Eisenhower High School with a 3.9 GPA. So again, I am here to speak of the district and all of the things that they do for the parents and for the schools. If the parents and the schools have more interaction with the district's events, the schools that their students go to the events that's held for that, and so forth, I think this would definitely be a better district. We need some more parent involvement for all races, all the way around. Sometimes we're quick to overlook the actual person or persons whom really qualify for such an enormous amount of responsibilities, duties, their wants to do's for our children. So I have taken the time as a parent to nominate this man in honor of his worthiness to this district, to all of the parents of all races. His dedication to just everything is just, it's enormous, and there's really no words here to explain this man. But we all know him as Dr. Seaburn. He is a wonderful man in this board. He has taken out enormous time to help any and everyone that comes to him with anything. And I actually nominated him for the Vinnie H. Newman Humanitarian Award, and I've been notified that he did win. And I'd like to thank him for all of his time and effort in this district. Thank you guys, and good night.
Mrs. Stoker. Mrs. Stoker. Okay, we'll move it on then. Angela Villegas.
Good evening, board members, superintendent, and cabinet members. I'm the parent of 2 children at Kodiak Elementary School, and I'm here to ask you to review a particular policy that is currently being used. It's a particular discipline policy that's being referred to as the send home policy. And I've spoken to a few members of the district personnel already about it, but I wanted to bring it to your attention. Basically, it enables school administrators to send students home without any written notification and any documentation in the student's official school records. I'll just give you one example quickly. On March 15th, my son was sent home using this policy. I was told that he could not finish the school day and he could not attend his after-school program there at Kodiak, the Think Together program. I never received any written explanation or any witness statements. And basically, it was not the first time this happened to my son. In the course of this school year, we have documented my son's disability, and we've worked with a great school psychologist. Ms. Claudia Hernandez has been awesome. And we have a 504 plan and now an IEP for my son. But I really think that if there was some documentation throughout the school year, I think that it would have better served my son, and we would have had a better year and a more effective 504. So again, if you could just look at this policy, look at the details of it, and maybe revise it to have some component of documentation, I think it would foster better partnerships with school administration, with parents, legal guardians, and overall it would serve students better when there are these situations that they're in the process of developing 504s and IEPs. I think it would better serve the students' needs and for the teachers as well. So thank you for your time, and thank you in advance for possibly looking at this and revising the policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. President, that was all for the first group.
Thank you. Dr. Seaborn, I guess we can maybe have somebody look into that, the policy? Good. Good. Next, we have comments on the agenda. Any person wishing to speak to any item on the agenda will be granted 3 minutes to make a presentation.
Okay, yes. I believe is it Josu Castillo?
That was
he
him.
spoke already.
He spoke.
Okay. Paula Bailey.
Good evening, Superintendent, board members, viewing audience. My name is Paula Bailey. I'm the current Special Ed Advisory Committee president. And we are working with the school district, and we'd like to announce that in May, on the 4th of May, we're going to have the next Special Ed Adaptive PE event. More information will be going out about that. It is going to be held at Rialto High School. It's going to go from about 9 to noon. We're working on keeping it indoors versus outdoors because we know it's going to be getting warm and we want to make sure everybody's comfortable. We'd like to let you know more information will be coming at the next board meeting, and flyers will be going out as we get closer to the day. But I just want to let you know it was up and coming and to watch your calendars. And if you can put it on your calendar and come out and help us out, support the kiddos, they have a blast and so will you. Thank you.
Alvin Baker.
Good evening, board members. My name is Alvin Baker, 1463 North Marcella Avenue. I came to speak tonight with regard to the threat to the school sports programs. I just wanted to express my opinion about that as a parent. The school sports programs seem to do a great service to our kids. I actually wish that we had had that when I was in elementary school, and I won't tell you what age I am. We can all just guess at that. But we, unfortunately didn't have that when I was a kid. But I've noticed, I was out there coaching the kids for football and participated in basketball, and now my wife is helping out with soccer. And the sports program seemed to serve a great service to the students because of the fact that it keeps them motivated to do well in the classroom. We could use a threat of, taking away Xbox and PlayStations and all that stuff, but sometimes that gets a little, it doesn't do enough. And so when the kids have something to look forward to, especially after school, and they're able to get out there, and especially for the young men and the young women as well, they get a lot of that energy out of them. They get to go out there, participate in the sports. And I've always used a lot of, I've always associated the fact that team sports teaches our kids a lot of the fundamentals that we have to learn in life. And that goes without saying. When you're out on a football field, if you fall, you got to get up and keep going. You have to plan, you have to organize your team, you have to work with people, and you have to set goals for yourself. And that's what all of you have done to get to where you are today. And that's what we want to definitely continue to encourage in our kids, and the fact that we can actually do that at such a young age with kids that are elementary school age, as opposed to waiting until they get into high school, helps out a lot with teaching those fundamentals for success. It's easy to say that kids can go down to Rialto Park and pay to play football or baseball and whatnot, but a lot of the parents in Rialto, especially given the state of our economy, can't afford to do that. And so to have this opportunity in our elementary schools is vital for the success of our children. And I would hope that we continue on with these programs, because I found that personally, having my son out there where he didn't want to necessarily play tackle football, but he wanted to go out there and play touch football or flag football with his friends, I discovered that there were a lot of things that I didn't even know about my own son and his abilities to succeed, and his willingness to succeed and participate. It impressed me a lot, and so I would encourage you to please keep these programs going. Thank you.
I put in a speaker slip, and I wasn't called for items not on the agenda. Christopher Fernandez.
I have your form right here, sir, but it wasn't checked off whether it was on the agenda or not. You'll be in two more people. Yolanda Smith. I got them in order here. For no reason.
Well, I'd like to say good evening to the board, the superintendent, the members of our community. My name is Yolanda Smith, and I've been here in Rialto since 2004. My son, I've been volunteering as a parent since 2005. My son graduated from from Carter High School in Rialto, and he's now at Northern Arizona University. I volunteer because of the educational system here. I love the teachers. We have the best parents. Although everything's not perfect here, in the school board, we work hard, and I love that the intentions for our children are good. I'm here today to comment on the sports program and the value of keeping it. I currently coach basketball. I've coached all 4 years. I do football, and God forbid I tried soccer a little this year. There is a value, in having the program. Students in the program are motivated in the classroom. Teachers cannot wait until I get ready to coach because they know they can use me to get kids to do what they need to do in the classroom. It controls their behavior. It controls their work. Like he said, it's free. A lot of our parents can't afford to go down to the Johnson Center or anywhere else to play sports. The kids get to try a new sport in an environment that's positive, where it's okay to make a mistake. It's a learning environment. These are things they may not try by the time they get to middle school or high school if their parents could not afford it early on. It gives coaches an opportunity to promote and teach valuable lessons such as sportsmanship, effort, hard work. These things in turn are taught in the classroom. It also teaches children how to be a volunteer and why it's important to volunteer and be a part of your community. Both my kids learn that this community belongs to us. Our family does not end at the front door. It ends here. It ends in the schools. These are our kids in our community. I love all the kids in this community. I don't care what race they are and how much money they have or don't have. It promotes a positive culture. I've had to deal with some parents who haven't been, behaving. But at the same time, it's an opportunity to teach parents how to behave before they reach the high school level and how to value what their kids are doing. Robert Goodlow gave us a trip to UCLA to see a sports program there. It was awesome. Our kids visited the classrooms. They got to sit in the class, experience college life, see dorm life, what it's like, and understand that college is for them too. And that was also tied through the sports program. I just really hope that it's something you consider keeping here in Rialto at the elementary school level. Hopefully, I'll be able to volunteer more also next year. I'll try. But I just wanted to put that in your ear tonight so that you can consider the value of it. It's more than just sports. It's tied into academics and into our culture here in Rialto as well. Thank you.
Christopher Fernandez.
Good evening, board members, members of the audience. My name is Christopher Fernandez. I'm a member of the California Democratic Party as well as Riverside County Central Committee. And now the reason I'm here is because we recently redistricted and now our sphere of influence now includes this area. Therefore, we're concentrating on certain problem areas, one of which is Rialto. We understand there's some corruption going on. We understand that there's a lot of issues that need to be addressed at the school board. Some of the school board members, we're looking for, I'm not really sure how many, if there's 2 or 3 that are up for we're seeking new candidates to fix this district. There's a lot of problems. It's a travesty that I understand that special education is probably at the lowest levels of all the school districts in California. I'm not sure if that's a fact, if it's in the area or is it in the state or nation. But if that is the case, that's a travesty. Why would we have other things such as sports or such things, having so much money or things put into it, but yet are we throwing our disabled children in the basement? Is that what's going on here? Another issue is I'd like to urge you to look into the redistricting, on the district-wide elections. We need to have representation by the people, by the districts, not all members living in a certain area. We need to get that on the ball. We need to have you work on that and not put it under the table because it will cost the district if this isn't done as a lawsuit. So therefore, I urge you to start beginning to work on that, on district-wide elections. Another issue that I'm really concerned about is bullying from your staff members. Apparently one of your personal assistants has been working toward bullying some of our community activists. That's uncalled for. I'm speechless to hear such a thing. I'd like some answers on that as far as, I don't know if I'm at liberty to say the person's name, but I believe he's one of your personal assistants that you've appointed as a parent representative. So I hope we get answers on that. I hope that person's removed from the school district and kept from associating with any of the parents. Thank you.
Say, sir, excuse me. I would like to invite you to come and meet with me, Dr. Wallace, in the special education department at your convenience. And I'd love to find out what you're talking about. My interest is piqued. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, next, Manny Zarayan. Manny Zaroyan. Edward Adams.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Sebring, and City of Rialto. Edward Adams, they call me EJ. Ever since I was my boy's age. That's Jalen Adams out there. He's 10 years old. Excuse me. He's 10 years old. I'm 10 years old. I grew up in Pasadena, California, right by the Rose Bowl. When I was exactly my son's age now, we had a local basketball team, and my dad used to coach that team. And when I was around his age, I started to get in a little bit of trouble. And we had a principal, Miss Dunbar, Cleveland Elementary. And, you know, it's a little different now, but it was rumored that she had a ping pong paddle on her wall, and you didn't want to go to her office. I know times have changed, but, you know, I got in a little bit of trouble, and I did go to her office there. And, you know, that kind of straightened me out, just seeing it up there. So the rumor was true. So it was up there. But, you know, that basketball team that my dad coached, excuse me, I've been telling my son this story for years about how his dad, which is myself, made this three-point shot. 2 seconds left in the game. We were down by 2. And I made the shot. My dad ran on the court and lost his voice screaming, EJ, EJ, and picked me up. And, you know, so long story short, what I'm getting at is we got to go to New Jersey, where my dad lives, during this last spring break. God is good. I drove my family across country, made it back safely. First story my dad told my son was about that three-point shot. And it was just so encouraging that stuck with my dad like that, you know, and you know, it wasn't anything we talked about prior, but my son got to see that, you know, and that encouraged him so much that, you know, I guess I should tell you guys why I'm here. You know, it's got to do with the you know, I heard little Birdie talk about the programs being done away with, you know, sports program, and, you know, I'm here to say, let's keep them. You know, they mean a lot. You know, Dr. Sebring, I seen one of the best pep rallies I ever seen in my life in Rialto, and all the schools came together, and it made me want to go back to school. I'm 36, and made me want to play ball again and get on that field. But I'm just encouraged by you know, Mr. Goodlow, and just what we're doing as a family. You know, young lady that got up here, I seen her coaching out there and encouraging and inspire the kids. I just want to remind us of, you know, even the mission of, you know, RUSD, inspiring, you know, and that's what we need to do to these kids, you know, inspire and teach them. And that really goes a long way, you know, with the sports program. You know, somebody like me, I don't have a lot of money, and the program has been amazing so far. So thank you for your time.
Nora Mendoza.
Buenas noches. Mi hija va a traducir por mí después de mí. Gracias. El lunes 8 de abril del año presente asistí a una clase de antiacoso presentada por la señora Katy Estes por el Instituto de Padres en el Centro Educacional César Chávez Dolores Huerta. La clase no tenía traductor. Le pedí a la señora Mónica que interpretara la clase En lugar de eso, el señor Curtis Winton empezó a gritarme diciendo, si preguntas algo personal, no puedes hablar. Me intimidó gritando todo el tiempo, diciendo, yo te conozco, eres Rosa, sé que eres la buscapleitos, necesitas callarte. Yo la traje a ella, refiriéndose a la señora Estes, aquí, y ella no es de aquí. Cualquier información que quieras de esta presentadora, yo la tengo. En ese momento, la señora Estes puso un video horrorizada como lo estaba yo y los demás padres. Al final de la clase, la señora Estes me siguió hacia mi carro porque estaba llorando sin control después de que el señor Winton me humilló y me gritó.
Señora, los nombres, por favor.
El señor.
Please, no names.
Bueno.
It is Brown Act.
Okay.
Sí puede.
El señor, Mr. Winton, me humilló. Me gritó enfrente de toda la clase. Estaba sin poder decir ni una palabra. Y eso fue la última palabra que dije antes de salir. Estoy atónita. La señora Estes me dijo, nadie puede tratar a los padres en la manera que te lo hizo el señor Winton. La clase irónicamente se trataba de antiacoso y de no intimidar. Y él me estaba acosando e intimidando sin respetarme como padre que soy. Él necesita respetar a todos los padres, ya sean blancos, negros, latinos o hispanos. Estoy formalmente poniendo mi queja contra el señor Winton del Instituto de Padres y necesito que ustedes, la mesa directiva, se aseguren de que el señor Winton no acose e intimide ni humille a ningún otro padre y se disculpe con la señora y los demás padres. El puesto del señor Winton es representante de padres, sin embargo, él me maltrató, me irrespetó, me acosó e intimidó, me ofendió, me humilló y hasta empezó a gritar diciendo, ella es mi invitada, yo la invité, esta es mi clase. Él necesita entender que nosotros somos los padres y por esa razón él tiene trabajo, no es lo contrario. Pido por favor que esto no quede en el olvido. Ya estoy acostumbrada a que en todas mis escuelas no soy bien recibida, todo porque busco la igualdad para todos los estudiantes, no solamente para mis hijos. Muchas gracias. Buenas noches y por favor den oportunidad a mi hija que me traduzca la carta por favor en inglés. Gracias.
We're going to grant a little extra time so they can translate in English.
Okay. Hi, my name is Daisy Olivos. On Monday, April 8th, my mother attended the anti-bullying class presented by Kathy Estes and sponsored by the Parent Institute at the Cesar Chavez Huerta Center of Education. The class did not have a translator. She asked Miss Monica to interpret the class. Instead, Mr. Curtis Winton started saying, if you are asking something personal, no, you cannot talk. He yelled at her all the time saying, I know who you are. You are Rosa. I know you are the troublemaker. You need to be quiet. I brought her referring to Miss Estes here, and she is not from here. Whatever information you want from the presenter, I have it. At this time, Miss Estes and I in shock, and every single parent there, she looked at me and gave me her personal cell phone number. At the end of class, Miss Estes found me by my car because I was crying uncontrollably after Mr. Winton humiliated and yelled at her in front of the whole class. She was speechless, and that is what she said to him before leaving. Miss Estes told me that no one can treat a parent any way Mr. Winton did. The class was ironically about anti-bullying, and he was bullying her without any regards that she is a parent and he needs to respect every single parent, white, black, Hispanic, or Latino. She is formally presenting a complaint against Mr. Curtis Winton from the Parent Institute, and she needs you, the board, to make sure Mr. Winton does not bully any more parents and apologizes to Miss Estes and all the parents. Mr. Winton, according to his title, is a parent representative. However, he disrespected her, offended her, humiliated her, And he needs to understand they are the parents, and for that reason, he has his job, not the other way around. Thank you very much.
That's all.
¿Me permiten, por favor, me permiten pasarles unas copias porque aquí tengo mi reporte?
Dr. Searam, what we hear is not always good news, but I'm sure and I'm confident that we will look into the complaint. Okay.
I have a question. We had several people speaking on behalf of the sports program that under comments on the agenda. I never saw it on the agenda. Oh.
It should have been on the
off the agenda.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something.
Could you explain to Ms. Mendoza out of respect that we're going to have this looked at? Would you like me to do so?
No, I'll do it. Señora Mendoza, hablé con el superintendente y va a investigar lo que escribiste aquí, lo que dijiste en frente de toda la gente y a ver lo que podemos hacer para ayudar.
La comunidad lo sabe ya, porque había varios padres ahí, pero agradezco mucho su atención. Hace mucha falta, mucho trabajo en este distrito, créame. Ya estoy acostumbrada a que me corren de diferentes lugares. Venía por otro motivo, de un problema que tuve en la escuela, high school de mis hijas. Pero esto superó lo demás.
Gracias.
Muchas gracias por su tiempo.
Gracias.
That concludes comments.
What did she say?
I'll go ahead and translate what Ms. Mendoza just said, and what Mr. Ayala said to her before was that we're gonna look into the complaint, and we're gonna do an investigation, and staff will have a report for us in the near future, hopefully soon. And what Ms. Mendoza responded was that there are some issues that need to be looked at and district-wide regarding some of the problems that some of the parents are having. What happened to her, many parents were witnesses to that and some other issues going on. You're welcome.
Moving right along, we have we just had a public hearing here, but I'm going to read item 3C3. Public hearing pursuant to the requirements of Government Code, Board Policy, the initial contract proposal submitted by the Rialto Unified School District for an agreement between the Rialto Unified School District Board of Education and Rialto Education Association, REA, is hereby posted in compliance with the legislative requirements for public notice. Reference C 3.1-2. Next, we have D, public information and correspondence. Recap of approved change orders. Rialto High School data and wireless technology upgrade January 1st, 2013 through March 31, 2013. Reference D 1.1. Next, we have item 2 under public information. We have Trapp Elementary School will hold their open house on Thursday, April 25th, 2013, from 5 to 6 p.m. at 2750 North Riverside Avenue, Rialto. Next, we have a reminder. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education is scheduled for Wednesday, April 24, 2013, at 7 o'clock p.m. at Carter High School, 2630 North Linden Avenue in Rialto. Please be reminded that we will have the Parade of Champions honoring our students who have made special accomplishments during this school year at that time. Next, we have a consent calendar action section. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered by the Board of Education to be routine and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no discussion of these items prior to the time the board considers the motion, unless members of the board, the administrative staff, or the public request specific items to be discussed and/or removed from the consent calendar. Can we get a motion to accept reference items E through I?
So moved.
Second. We have a first and a second. All in favor?
Some discussion on E and H2.
E and H2. Okay, can we revisit E and H2 and go ahead and vote on the rest?
Yes.
Okay. We have a first, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Member?
Aye.
Preferential vote, you have an aye? Okay. And all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Next, we have a discussion on item E.
Yes. At the last board meeting, I provided a lot of information regarding reasons for an audit, but several of the details were left out of the minutes, and I would just like the minutes to be amended, both written and online, to include some of the details that were omitted. Our constituents need to know the financial impact that these things have had on our district. So if we could just pass this to Dr. Sebrin, and he could give it to Rosie, and hopefully just amend those minutes as asked. It's just some of the more specific details.
Okay.
I just also would like to make a comment. You know, I had a lot to say last board meeting, and I'm not going to repeat everything tonight. I just would like to comment that in the past, we've had differences of opinions as board members as far as how the minutes should be taken, how the minutes should be recorded. And we just recently, a few board meetings ago, took a vote to allow board members who would like their comments entered into the public record for the minutes. And the majority voted to go ahead and do that once again, as they were done in the past. So, for example, if you look at the minutes up for approval tonight, under my particular comments regarding item J5 of the last board meeting regarding third-party independent audit, specific audit, everything I had to say, which was pretty lengthy, was shrunken down to one sentence. Vice President Montes shared his areas of concern regarding the need for a thorough independent third-party audit. I'm not going to repeat everything all over again. I've been sick and tired of, bringing a lot of that stuff up. But I do want to thank Dr. Sebrum for earlier mentioning that he is willing to meet with some of the board members to discuss some of the concerns that were brought forth that night. Just wanted to express my discontent for the way the minutes are being recorded. And I just want to remind the board that according to our board bylaws, the person responsible for the facilitation of the minutes is the board secretary. So I'd just like to ask to please try a little harder in making sure that we are a little bit more fair as far as what board members want to make sure their comments are being recorded in the minutes section of our agendas. So with that, thank you, Board President.
Okay. If there are no other comments, we'll move on to H2, and then we'll vote on both at one time.
Yeah. Since I've been on the board, and I look over the purchase order and warrant listing catalog every time I get it. I have noticed just, excessive payments, or just a lot of money being paid to the attorneys for the district. Now, I understand we have some legal matters that going on, but I would like to request a report of what has been paid to any and all district attorneys for the district over the past 3 to 5 years, if I could get that. I just need a better understanding of, kind of what we are paying them for, and, because at this time I just don't understand. So if I could get that report, that would help me a lot.
Ms. O'Kelly, we'll be happy to provide you with that. We were talking the other day that right now, any of our staff, if they have a legal question, can call an attorney.
Okay.
We want to stop that to the point, not that they can't get the answer, but some of us, I have to sign if I made any calls. But I see a lot of other where people have initialed that they made calls. Maybe we may be making too many calls. So we need a person that will be notified if and why you need to make this call to the attorney. Because some of those calls may not have to be made. We may be able to answer those ourselves. When we see the list, anytime one of our staff has some question, all they have to do is dial.
And do they sign? And do they sign when they do?
Well, yeah, when the bill comes by, it has what the call was about, that person's initials. But when you really look at it, in places I've worked before, any staff member can make that call. They have to clear the reason for making a call, and you're going to cut your calls down. And maybe if you made a call one time and got the answer, and the same thing came up again, you don't make that call again. You already got the answer the first time. Well, we'll give you that list, but you kind of see when you look through there how many times certain people make calls.
Are they calling for school-related business,
Yes,
or are they calling because they're getting a divorce, or what?
No. It's all school-related business.
Okay.
But a lot of calls that are school-related business involve common sense and judgment.
Right.
There are a lot of calls that some of these people can make out of experience. We can answer those questions ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just, let me say it another way. If you're in your job and you know what you're doing, most of the time you don't have to make as many calls. I'll just say it that way.
Well,
we're making entirely too many. So if we have the wrong people in those jobs, maybe we need different people.
Well, I agree that the calls should have to be cleared because they cost the district money, and that's something we need to look at. Yes.
And for clarification, as far as the board goes, only the board president has access to questioning legal counsel. As a matter of fact, board president, did you get clarification for the question you had for legal counsel at the last board meeting regarding discussion action items?
I'd have to come back to you on that one there. I'd have to come back with you.
You didn't get clarification?
It's possible that I did, and it's possible I might have overlooked, so I need to review.
Right.
So, Dr. Seabram, perhaps on the legal advice that we're getting here at the district, maybe we can review the policy and maybe
On the discussion item, discussion action.
come back maybe
Yeah.
and we'll review it
Yeah.
and
If that's
take a vote on it.
consistent, We'll bring it to you.
So
Please.
we
We'll
can
do that.
decide what we want to do with that.
Okay.
It will only be one call made. We'll get it.
Okay. Any more discussion, questions on H2?
No.
Okay. Can we get a motion to accept? We're voting on E and H2.
I motion that, as discussed, I motion to move forward on E and H2.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second, given that the minutes will be amended and the requested report will be provided.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 No. On E. Yes, on H2.
Okay, so Rosie, you got that one? Okay. So let's move on here.
J.
Thank you. Next, we have discussion action items. Discussion action items will be enacted in one motion unless members of the Board of Education request specific items to be discussed. We're looking at approving items referenced J through L. Do we have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Yes, I have some discussion
Okay.
on J 1, 2, 3, and 4.
J,
And I will
1, 2,
abstain
3.
on J6.
Abstain. Okay. And you said 1, 2, 3?
And 4.
And 4. Okay. And let's just go ahead and go with J1 and get started. We can
Okay.
move
On J1, we're talking about the EPA funds that were derived from Prop 30. And it does state that those monies can only be used on instruction. So I'm interested to know what items are going to be considered instruction or personnel or whatever. How are we going to define instruction? Because this is a sizable amount of money to the district. And most importantly, who is going to be accountable to ensure that the money is spent appropriately and only on instruction?
First of all, the item is not, I want to be clear to the board, this is not new money or additional money. Because of the Proposition 30, taxpayers support this Prop 30. State required under the new amendment of the Constitution to disclose this Prop 30 fund, how it's going to be distributed back to the school and how money will be spent for what purpose. And there's some restrictions attached under this Prop 30 that this money can be spent for any administrative expense, such as hiring principals or paying any administrative cost. So it required governing board adopt the resolutions to comply that the money we received, which we're not getting it due to deferral and the cut state deficit. Now this money will be coming to the districts, and the money should be spent for instructional purposes. By definition of the instruction, mean everything has to be spent for the classrooms, the teachers, books, supplies. So if you read the J1-2, we listed as how much Prop 30 will state going to pay us through a Prop 30 fund, and how that money will be spent for what purpose. You can see that that's 100% we're going to monitor and spend for instructional purposes.
Okay.
Nancy, are you okay with that?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Next 2.
And on 2, the interfund borrowing. I understand about that. I understand why we do it. But if we have to do interfund borrowing, it's essentially all of the specific requirements of Ed Code Section 42603. And I assume we are monitoring that and making sure we are complying with all those requirements.
Yes. Again, the board, this is just a placeholder. If we have internal fund is available without not jeopardizing our project or program, we like to borrow to minimize the cost of borrowing from to the TRAN. So this is just simply an approval. If there's a fund available, we like to minimize our cost of borrowing from our side.
Is there some reason that these accounts aren't balanced continually so that we don't run out of money in one account or something? Or
the borrowing is primarily, as you recall, the deferral, the state deferral. The fund we're not getting now, we're getting later. So this is a temporary borrowing.
Okay.
Again, we simply need your approval. If we have a internal fund available without any risking any project or program, we like to do that to avoid costs, minimize the cost.
I think you wanted to know too, do we have a way of monitoring?
Right.
As those funds are being borrowed from one area to the
Yes,
next?
so we do monitor our cash daily, how much money we have and what program and what's our obligations. So this is kind of, you have to know what do you have and how are you going to maintain your obligations. Yes, we have a system and process to monitor daily.
Can we get a report of that weekly, so the board is informed of if you know every day what monies we have in each account, can the board get a small summary of that weekly?
I'll be glad to give you daily if the board wants to every day at 9 o'clock in the morning.
I think we have to agree on that one before we.
It's available. It's available.
We have to agree on that.
Yeah, and maybe I can bring it up under new business.
On new business.
But I do have a discussion regarding this particular agenda item.
And in response to Mr. Monte, yes, we can do it.
I understand the need to minimize borrowing by interfund borrowing the money we already have. Here's my problem with that. We get monies for different various accounts. We get monies for special ed. If you need to borrow money from special ed, that means it's going to take you time. We're following the legal requirements to pay that money back within the funds themselves, within the accounts themselves. But if you take from special ed or any other important account, that keeps us from making the necessary, providing the necessary services to our special ed students, because we're going to be borrowing from that account to help pay for some other accounts. Even though that money is going to come back, it's going to take some time, and those funds are no longer going to be available. So I think at the last board meeting, the question regarding interfund borrowing, or the comments made regarding interfund borrowing, is that there's not a sufficient tracking system. If some accounts are running out of money and other accounts aren't, then those accounts that aren't running out of money, either the money's not being used, and then perhaps other accounts' monies are being overspent. So it proves that there's a lack, or there's a need for an efficient tracking system so we can balance these accounts. And it's not just about monitoring what we're spending daily, but we need an efficient tracking system to monitor all the accounts to make sure all the accounts are balanced.
Mr. Montes, yes, we have a system in place. As I give you the full confidence that I can give you a report as every morning. That's the only way we monitoring our obligations and how much money we have cash. We're talking about cash. As you know, the state not paying the money according to our obligations or timeline. So they're paying according to their schedule. So an account could be negative cash, doesn't mean it's a mismanaged. An account could have a cash available, doesn't mean it's underutilized. So we have to be careful. The cash is cash. All cash doesn't arrive at the same time. As you were referring to special ed. Special ed is an underfunded program. You cannot borrow program as the state not paying enough to run the program in the beginning with. We borrow money to run the program at present time. Exactly. And it's over $3.8 million general fund encroachment every year. This is not something new. We know historically, especially it was underfunded program. So back to you, when we do a borrow, we're careful. You heard me saying that we're not going to jeopardize any program by means of borrowing because we need cash. We borrow generally, you heard me saying last year we borrow from a bond project because those projects not running at the speed, so there's a cash available. So we're not using our borrowing from any of our operating program, so we say we cannot meet our obligation, we have to pay you later, or we cannot pay your vendor. We cannot do that. So we're careful. When we're saying we borrow, we look at mostly on the project, like a bond project. We have a cash available. Those projects are gradually, we're spending it, not as fast perhaps we could. So those are how we carefully monitor. So I can give you with the full confidence that we cannot borrow any project or program. Example, you give me special ed, and not serving the kid because of there's not cash available, or vendor is not paid, and that's not the case, and that cannot happen. Exactly. That cannot happen. I'm going to say that.
Okay, are we good with number 2?
Yes.
All right, let's move on to number 3.
Point of
Dr.
order,
Wallace,
point of order.
Well,
I-
you can't call point of order because you're not a board member, but
Well,
I think he wants to speak and he should be allowed to speak.
No, absolutely.
I want to make it really clear, using the name, special education. We do not, it is never borrowed from. It's like Muhammad said, we actually are given X number of dollars, roughly $9,000 per student, and we spend an average of $28,000 per student. Last year, it was $3.8 million beyond our budget for special education. Okay, I want that really clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Willis. Okay, moving on to item 3.
Well, 3 and 4 kind of go together because I have a question as the
Okay.
former principal of Eisenhower.
Anybody have an objection? We just combine 3 and 4, and then we'll vote on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to know why we are doing the improvements at Rialto High School and Carter High School on their fields first when Eisenhower has a much greater need. Eisenhower needs new bleachers, bathrooms, snack bar, etc., in addition to the track and field improvements. So why are we not starting with Eisenhower since that school has the greatest needs? Our bleachers are unsafe at this time. Eisenhower really needs to get this attention.
Dr. Saban, do we have somebody who can comment on that?
Well, there are a number of projects that are going on in Eisenhower, the science lab. Because the project was so huge at Eisenhower, including the stadium and the performing arts building and some other, they wanted to, with the flow of bond money, they wanted to save that project for the end because it involved so much. If they took that out, it might delay the flow of how the fund, because you get so much bond money at a time. You don't
Right.
get all of it at once. And because the project at Ike, it's major. It's even the part of relocating the portables and parking lot once they prepare the new performing arts. All of the performing arts and stadium is supposed to be on baseline. And if to redo all of this, it's going to take quite a bit of concentration. And the suggestion was at the time that we could get rid of these other projects pretty quickly and spend most of our time with all the things that need to be. They've done the air condition at Eisenhower in the gymnasium. They've done the science building. We want to take a tour for that. They've done that. They've done some other minor things, but the major projects they wanted to save for the end.
Well, they have a lot. They're also supposed to get a 2-story classroom building and those
Yes.
things, and they're all drastically needed. So I can understand the thinking, but in my thing, we've got to start giving that school what it has needed for so many years. And last year our football team actually started winning a little bit, and so we might actually fill those bleachers this year if they continue. And it's an unsafe situation.
Well, and let me say this too. Eisenhower has a definite advocate here, so we could very easily talk with our people because they haven't started. It's later this month that they actually start to look at how they've skewed things so far. There's a possibility to do things a little bit different because that will be a major overhaul for that stadium with bleachers, snack
Right.
bars, restrooms, and the field.
And it's long overdue.
Yes.
Okay, I think we're moving right along. Okay, so we have a motion to accept, and we had a second. Who seconded? I'm trying to remember who seconded.
I made the first.
Oh, I did.
You seconded.
With,
Okay.
with discussion.
So we're done with the
However, we have to
discussion?
do them separately because I'm not,
We haven't taken a vote on any of them, I believe. We've just discussed various.
Okay.
because the votes may be different for,
Okay, then let's go with J1, and we have a motion and a second, and we've already had our discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. J2, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No.
1 no on 2. J3, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
No.
Aye. We have 1 no.
No.
We have 2 noes. Item 4, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Motion passes. Item 5, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Item 6, we have an abstain by Mrs. Gilbert. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving on to K and L. We have a motion and a second, and no one requested discussion, so
Didn't we do that as part of the bulk when we, I guess we're doing them now, it's one at a time. Go ahead.
okay, so we can combine K and L,
and M.
and M we'll do separate. We'll do separate,
There's nothing there.
just in case,
Yeah.
just in case.
Thank you.
Okay, so do we have a motion and a second for K and L?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we move on to new business. There's nothing to discuss. Are there any comments?
Yeah, I'd like to request something to be placed on the next agenda under new business. I mentioned earlier if we could have a weekly report of our expenditures for the entire district. Mohammed said it was not a problem since he does it daily, but we don't need it daily. I think weekly would be fine. We, as a matter of fact, we get a board packet every other Friday. So the Friday before the board meeting, we get a packet. So the district sends out a patrol car to deliver our packets twice a month. If we get a weekly update on the budget, so that the weeks that we don't have a board report, we can have this budget report brought to us the other Friday, so that every week we're getting this report. And also, I'd like to also have us consider included in that weekly report maybe an update on what's going on in the whole entire district. Nowadays with investigative journalism, we're finding out stuff in the paper before we find out at the next board meeting or by the next board meeting. So as board members who live in this community, sometimes we shop at the same Stater Brothers or Cardenas or some of the same places here in town as parents do. And in case we have a parent come up to us and question us about an incident or something going on that we haven't had the time, staff hasn't had the time to update us about, instead of being blindsided and answering, I don't know, at least we can have an idea and refer them to the proper people if we get these weekly updates. So I'd like for the board to consider that under new business, next board meeting. And then I don't know if anybody else has anything else to, for new business consideration.
I have point of order. Earlier tonight, Mr. Montes, we moved to approve under general function consent items the second reading of the revised bylaws for agenda meetings and materials. And I just want to, if we have reference to F 3.2, I know you requested that an item be placed on the agenda. But according to the bylaws, the request shall be submitted in writing to the separate superintendent or designee with supporting documents and information.
I wasn't requesting it to be placed on the agenda. I was requesting it to be placed under new business. In order to take action, we have to place an action item. But if we can place it under new business so we can discuss it, and then maybe
if we're going to vote on it, then it would be a discussion action item.
No, without vote. Well, if we put it on new business, we can discuss it as new business. If the board feels we can bring it onto the agenda to vote on it and take action on it, then we can do so at the right time. But I requested this to be placed on new business, not for action.
You don't want action on it?
I think it'd be good for us to discuss it first.
Excuse me, I'm a little confused. New business, I thought, was to place items on the agenda. That's
Bring
what,
it up in
that's
new
what it was
business
already,
To be placed as a discussion.
that's the only reason it's there,
Yeah.
to ask to place something on the next agenda.
Are
That's what my question is to you, because I thought that's how I heard your question, your suggestion.
statement,
that we
yeah.
put-
In order to have an agenda item placed on the action items, to take action on the agenda, it has to be written in writing. I understand that. I'm not
That's what
asking.
new business is for.
No.
That's, okay.
I'm not
Please
asking.
explain it to me and the public then.
I don't know how many times I have to explain it. I'm requesting under new business, not requesting this to be put under J, items J, which are action items. I brought it up earlier, and Board President Ayala said, this is not the time to discuss it, so I'm bringing it up under new business.
I understand, Mr. Montes, and
Does anybody have a problem with it coming on new business and discussing it then?
we can discuss it.
Okay,
I don't see a
thank you.
problem.
Thank you, Board President.
My comment, Mr. President, was asking what new business was about, not about this particular item. Originally, I thought the new business was to ask that you would consider items to be put on the next agenda. I thought that was the whole purpose of new business.
I get you on, on the agenda.
It's
so
impossible for you to educate me, sir.
Let me do a point of order here.
Yeah, thank you.
In order to facilitate, sometimes we have to be a little creative on how to bring an item to the agenda, but sometimes it requires a little investigation. It takes a little thought. So we have a new category called new business. So if we come up with an idea to improve things at the district, or then we can bring it up on new business, we can discuss it, and decide at that point whether we want to put it on the agenda.
Thank you.
And we will all partake in our opinions, and we'll try to do the right thing for the kids and the staff and the community.
Thank you, Board President Ayala.
Okay, so if no further comments on new business, we have a couple items to discuss next time. And next we have comments from members of the Board of Education. Okuna, would you like to start?
Yes, please. Senior year has been very, very hard because you have a lot of deadlines to follow. So I'm like telling the parents that's here right now to keep up with all the deadlines for your kids when they reach their last year of high school, because especially for colleges and things like that. Because if you don't check up on the deadline and your child is accepted into that school, they will take they will revoke the acceptance letter because you didn't keep up with what you're supposed to keep up with. So senior year is hard, so keep up with your kids.
Thank you. Next we have Ms. Joanne Gilbert.
Oh, thank you, President Ayala. First, I would like to say thank you for sticking around, all you parents and people who are in the audience. And I've seen some new faces. And so it's wonderful that you are taking an interest in our school district, what goes on at board meetings, and we would like to have you return and come, make it a habit of coming to board meetings, because this is how you get informed and you see firsthand what goes on at our board meetings. Second of all, I would like to thank Ms. Tara Rosemond, who spoke earlier about the Vinnie H. Newman Humanitarian Award, because this is an organization, the Community Action Partnership Program of San Bernardino County launched this Community Action Legacy Awards to honor individuals and organizations that have supported the mission and vision of CAP of supporting low-income residents of San Bernardino County in achieving self-sufficiency. These awards celebrate key members of our community, individuals and institutions whose commitment to assist their neighbor is noteworthy because it has produced tangible results over time. And I would just like to thank one of our parents for nominating Dr. Seabram, and he was chosen to receive this award by the San Bernardino County Community Action Partnership Program. And there will be a gala celebration for this event on May 17th at the Orange Show. And information about this will be coming forward. And if you would like to purchase tickets to join Dr. Seabram in this celebration, I will give that information to Saida, and she can forward it to you all. But this is a gala event on a Friday evening, May 17th, at the Orange Show, dinner and dance at the end. So we look forward to that. Last night I attended City Council meeting for the City of Rialto, and I went on purpose because Mayor Robertson was given a proclamation to Henry Elementary School. She asked me what were we doing as far as promoting jazz or music in our district, and I went on to explain to her that we as a district have never wanted to cut music and the arts from our school curriculum. And so I also mentioned that we are proud that we have a school for performing arts in the name of Henry Elementary School. So she called Mrs. Braggs and presented a proclamation to Henry because April is Jazz Appreciation Month. And so Mrs. Braggs and some of her parents were there last night to receive that proclamation, and I went also to support her. And I also made comments, and I told the listening audience and people at the City Council meeting about our RITS program, which is an example of how we support visual as well as performing arts in the district. So I want you parents who are listening and also everyone in our audience to come out to the Ritz April 20th. Tickets are only $20 and for general admission and $50 for VIP. And I must say, one of the parents made a comment that says, if you buy a VIP ticket, you only get more, you get more, not you don't get any, what is it? You don't get any refreshments. You just get more refreshments. So the problem is, you're coming to see the kids perform, and that's the bottom line. So pay a $20 ticket, you sit in the auditorium at Carter High School, and you enjoy listening and watching our children perform. They audition just like they were going to American Idol or The Voice or any of these programs. So we promote the best of the best, and every year we look forward to seeing our children. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Please
Gilbert.
come to the Ritz.
Next, we have Mrs. Nancy O'Kelly.
Yes, and definitely the Ritz is a night of phenomenal entertainment. It's always just awesome, and it's amazing how much talent we have right here in our district. As the parent of an extraordinary jazz musician, yes, I totally am appreciative of our music program, and only hope that sometime in the future we can expand it back to elementary and build it up again. But it's you need to see it to believe it. One of the things I just wanted to clarify real quickly, you know, we've been talking about, you know, finances and this and that, and this idea of being staffed at 92%. Of course, jobs are extremely important, and nobody wants anyone to lose their job. The point is, though, when you're told that you're budgeted you are staffed at 92% of your budget, that means out of every dollar we receive, 92 cents goes to salaries and benefits. That leaves 8 cents out of every dollar to run the district on, to buy everything we need for our kids. That's virtually impossible. And that is how districts can start running out of money. So that is why the state recommends an 85% staffing, because that gives you enough money to meet all the obligations. I don't know how we got to 92%, but my concern is this: the money needs to be spent on the children. That's our business, is the children. And so we need to save as many jobs as possible, but on the other hand, we also need to put it into perspective that the kids are everybody's reason for being here. I've been also having a wonderful time visiting the elementary schools. I only have one left, and then I'll move on to the middle schools. And I want to again thank the principals and the staffs of all the elementary schools for the very warm receptions I've received and their hospitality. We have so much to be proud of in this district. The dedication and commitment of our teachers and school administrators is so obvious when you go and visit the classes and you see the wonderful things that are going on inside the classrooms. You realize the extent to which we go to provide the very best we can for our kids. And I want to thank them for all they do. They are truly the heart of education. As a career educator in Rialto and a current school board member, I also wanted to emphasize, in response to a comment that was made at the last board meeting, my only agenda is and always has been for 33 years to do the right thing for the children of Rialto, to do the best I can for the children of Rialto. The overwhelming support that I received when I was elected clearly indicates that the people who know me know how dedicated I am to the children in Rialto, and I am determined that my babies will receive the best educational opportunities we can provide. And that is my commitment, and I stand by it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Next, we have the clerk of the board, Mr. Martinez.
Thank you, President Ayala. Good evening to everyone who did remain. Thank you. You are much appreciated because you are the supporters, you're the backbone of your representatives, your bodies, and we need to hear from you. We need to hear everything you have to say. I just want to congratulate our students, parents, and staff on the improving graduation and dropout rates. They were much earlier in the superintendent's report, if you're just getting to this section on the television. CSTs, good luck to every student. Hope you're all studied up. Get some orange juice in you, and at my house, you get prayed up too. So, you know, if that's your way, go for it. Sakuna, I'm so proud of you. Every time I turn around, you're winning an award, or you're being, you know, you're doing wonderful. You are such a role model for any of our students, and you're doing a wonderful job as a student board member. I just wanted to acknowledge you. Congratulations to Dr. Sebran on winning the Vinnie H. Newman Award, the Humanitarian Award. And I'll have to check my calendar, but I'll probably be there just to be in the hecklers section. Okay, I wanted to, it was something that I visited over at Ike this week, and it has to do with the ACE Inland Empire Scholarship application put on by ACE Mentoring Program, which is in architecture, construction, and engineering, a STEM program at Eisenhower. And I was invited to visit. They were getting prepared. They were doing college prep and all of that, just going through helping the students prep to apply for colleges and scholarships. They've already gone through having the students model from concept through critical thinking into a finished product, whether it was a hydraulic robot or it was building a building, architecture, and just what goes into that. They don't make it easy, just like our teachers aren't supposed to make it easy. They're supposed to make us think what could go wrong and then how to fix it and get our way out of that. As adults, you'll understand. As a student, you haven't got there yet. No one's going to come up and do your work for you, whether you're in school or after school. So that is what the program is doing. It is a STEM program, science, technology, engineering, and math. And it just so happens I asked a question, what about our robotics entry this year? And they said, well, that robotics was going to cost $10,000 to enter. But in its place, we do have this program. It's a program well worth looking into at our other high schools. They are trying to get a pathway all the way from grade school to high school and to college. It's a first year, and they are doing a wonderful job. So just wanted to report on that. Our students are doing excellent. Not all of them. We still have a few that are pretty strong-willed, but they'll get there. They'll get there. Just keep loving them as we do. You hear the board has its own style, but we agree on what our students deserve the best. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, thank you, Clerk Martinez. Next, we have Vice President Edgar Montes.
Not Martinez.
Almost said it again, didn't I? I just
Thank
want to see if you were paying attention.
I'm awake.
Oh, I'm sure you are.
Thank you, Board President Joe Ayala.
Absolutely.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say good evening to all of you here today. Buenas noches a todos que están aquí hoy. It really makes me happy to see involvement from our staff and from our parents and students and our community. I just wanted to touch on a few topics. Various parents came forth, and first of all, thank you to the parents who came to speak today. Gracias a los padres que vinieron a hablar ahora. It means a lot to me as a board member to hear from the parents praise and criticism because, board members, we get criticized sometimes and we get praised sometimes. All of our staff members sometimes get praise and criticism. And somebody mentioned name earlier. We got to keep in mind the Moreno Valley Unified School District versus the Board of Education of Moreno Valley versus Victoria Baca Superior Court case that stated that school districts or any governing bodies cannot prevent people from mentioning names of employees or from criticism. You can't have it both ways. You can't accept the praise and then take away the people's right to criticize. People come criticize me. I accept it. I consider it. I try to improve on it. And I hope that all of our employees and staff members and board members would be willing to also accept and criticism and try to build upon it. I did want to also mention to some of the parents who had concerns regarding the sports program or a threat to an elimination of a sports program that I know of. I have never heard of any threat to the sports program or a call for an elimination of the sports program. What I have heard brought up by board members at previous board meetings was the consideration for the board to perhaps show the consultants the door that help us with the sports programs that we pay tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm not exactly sure. It's one of the reasons some people are calling for an audit. Whatever amount of money we're paying for boot camps, for football camps, baseball camps, all the other sports camps, and these Saturday sports programs to the consultant, we should consider, we have parent volunteers coaching, and I thank you and I commend you for that. That's an awesome leading by example thing that you're doing. So then what do we need the consultants for? If we got parents volunteering and coaching, what do we need the consultants for? To make the schedule? Give the principal a raise, give the principal a bonus, and he can do the schedule. And I'd also like to caution employees, if we have any employees who are being paid as employees and both as consultants, I'd like to caution and take into consideration that that might be a potential conflict of interest, because Government Code 1090 states employees of a school district cannot be paid both as employees and as consultants. So if they're providing a service and a good as a consultant and they're also employees, we want to make sure we're doing everything properly. That's the only concern I have as a board member regarding the sports programs. I'm not against them. I think that they're wonderful. I've seen the parent involvement, student involvement. It's great. But come on, it's not Algebra 1. Why should we be paying for something that we're running on our own? That we can be running fully on our own. We're probably running 95% of it, just like we did a step-up program. What do we need a consultant for? So that's that regarding the sports program. Keep up the good work, Dr. Seabram, and all the people involved in the sports program. But let's take a look at the expenditures there, and thanking the consultants for getting us from point A to point B. But we got parents willing to volunteer. Let's let them take care of this. And anybody willing to volunteer from the district. Another thing I wanted to address, somebody came up and mentioned, and it's been brought forth before regarding voting by districts. We got an election coming up next year, and it's an opportunity for Rialto Unified School District to show the community that we want to be fair in the representation up on this board. Currently, we, like many other districts, vote at large. The whole school district boundaries that you saw the map up of here, including the whole 20, 30 people in Lytle Creek, we represent that whole boundary, but we need equal representation, because currently the majority of the board members live in the north end. The majority of the board members live in the north end, and we want to be fair. So we need representation from the south side, from the other side of the tracks, from the west side, from the east side. We need representation. So if we break up, if we consider, maybe this is something we can bring for consideration as new business. I just wanted to respond to that. I think it'd be fair if we had equal representation, so maybe we can consider breaking up the at-large system to by district. It would be a lot more, less costly for parents or people from the community that consider running to just run for one particular district. Doesn't mean they're only going to represent that. They're going to represent the whole district, as opposed to running for, the whole 5 cities that we represent. Another thing I wanted to touch on, I wanted to thank the principals that came up and the support staff that came up with the employees that were awarded tonight. That's awesome. That's awesome. That means a lot to the employees that are being awarded, and it means a lot to me as a board member, and I think to all of us here, to have our principals and their support staff come and support their employees' recognition. I thought that was awesome. Some questions were raised regarding the process, the procedure. Obviously, if anybody's been paying attention to our board meetings, not all of us are well versed on parliamentary procedure. And as a matter of fact, one of us requested that maybe we could use board member account funds to possibly purchase some basics on parliamentary procedure and Robert's Rules of Orders for the board members. I think it's a good investment. I've got this book that somebody let me borrow, and I'm studying it. But, if we got board members asking other board members about the process and whatnot and disagreements, obviously we need some help with that. Maybe we can consider a workshop. But I honestly think it's not Algebra 1. I mean, this is just standard stuff. We got school site councils that operate, using the same ways, and plenty of organizations.
Do we have to pick on Algebra 1?
That
was my favorite course.
It was not mine, I'll tell you that. But another thing I just wanted to also bring up was that, the last board meeting, motions ran high. We had a sea of blue here that I want to thank for coming, for your courage to come and share your thoughts and your concerns with us. We had other people that came to share concerns. We had board members sharing concerns. Emotions ran high. We had disagreements, and that's okay. We've got a speech and debate student board member who is going to be traveling, has been traveling to take on anybody representing Rialto Unified School District. And speech and debate should be a healthy part of any governing body. If you got a point and I got a point and you got a point, or we need to come to a consensus on certain things, well, let's debate then. You make your point, you got your facts, she's got hers, he's got his, and it's healthy. That's a good example for our speech. We should go visit the speech and debate over at Carter High School and some of our high schools. Maybe we could take some notes from them. But I think it's good. I think it's healthy. You know, our board president has mentioned various times it's okay to disagree. I agree with that. It's okay to disagree. There was some mentions earlier regarding the blame game. Now, when people talk about the blame game, I think about accountability. You know, and nobody likes playing the blame game or any. I don't like playing any games like that. But I do like calling for accountability. And when it comes to accountability to the community and to the parents, to the county, to the state, to the federal, when it comes to accountability by this board, by this district, the buck stops with the board. That's where the buck stops. We're the ones, us 5 board members up here, is where the buck stops when it comes to accountability. To you, to the public, to the parents. But when the board itself seeks accountability, where does the buck stop? The buck stops with the only employee we're allowed to hire. And no one should take that personal. No one should take that personal. If I, as a board member, or any other board members call for accountability, we have that right. And so do you to have to ask for accountability from us. But when we ask for it, we shouldn't be said, oh, you're being negative or you're pointing fingers or no, just don't focus on. No, we can't have it both ways. We need to focus on good and bad. That's how we get better at doing what we do. So I just would like to say, I hope people don't take things personal. I don't take things personal. Anything I do is a reflection of me, and anything you do is a reflection of you. So I just wanted to touch on that and thank everybody again for being here. The folks at home probably finished their popcorn by now. And let's keep moving forward. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Board President.
Thank you, Vice President. Mr. Montes. I'd like to start by congratulating Dr. Seabram on being nominated and also getting the award from the Venny H. Newman. I think that's awesome. That's our superintendent who is getting the award for being a humanitarian. And as I was listening to what he was saying about the percentages, he's going to find ways to keep the employees employed. This is music to our ears. It's not just one or two. We all feel that way. And it's a balancing act. And I keep thinking back to families, you know, the families that sacrifice together, you know, through times, they stay focused, they find ways to overcome. And I don't see us being any different. I want to congratulate TRAP for coming out of program improvement. That is awesome. That's an enormous task. All the staff there, the students, parents, they all need to be complimented. I want to share also that we have a Rialto Unified School District Golf League. And it sounds like, oh, this is just an elitist program. Or no, it's not. This is for everybody, whether you're an employee of this district, a community member. But what an opportunity to get to meet people in a different frame of mind. You know, when they're throwing clubs, when they're missing putts, or hitting balls over the fence. But you know what? It is a sport, and it doesn't matter if you're just a beginner. We have a PGA member playing with us who, you know, he usually charges $40, $60 a half hour to teach people. He's been doing it for 14 years. He's part of our community. And he's mentioned to me that he'd be happy to help anybody who wants to come out and learn. We'll be playing through January, through June. So You know, I heard a lot of comments, and it's okay to disagree. I've said that many times. You know, eventually we'll get closer to the truth. So if you've noticed, when we get done with our meetings, we usually shake hands, and then we get prepared for another day. Before we adjourn, before we close, I'd like to read this statement. Tonight, we would like to close our Board of Education meeting in loving memory of Mrs. Margaret Ellen Lindberg, the beloved mother of our Rialto Education Association President, Lisa Lindberg. Lisa has been the REA president for 3 years in the district and a solid teacher for 20 years prior. Let's please have a moment of silence for Mrs. Margaret Ellen Lindberg. Our thoughts are with you and your family, Lisa. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Preferential vote?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourns at 9:30.